Hi, I'm Kayleigh Frost, Head of Clinical Support at Health Assured, and today I'm joined by two of my very esteemed colleagues. I'm joined by Z, our Management Accountant, and Faz, our Legal Specialist. Hi, good morning, welcome,
Hi.
you okay?
Yeah. Good, thank you.
How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. So we're taking a different spin on this episode of the podcast. So we're going to be talking about financial well-being, and we're coming from a more practical angle. I think a lot of people are used to counsellors joining me on this podcast, but I think it's really, really important that we look at very topical for kind of where we are in the year right now, what we've gone through as a nation, what our service users are experiencing, and go in on a practical angle. So I'm so thrilled that you guys have joined me today. And we're going to be talking about financial well-being, look at some practical tips, where people can start, because we know everyone is in a similar situation in terms of what we're facing as a nation, but there's varying degrees of struggles and challenges that you guys will have a lot of kind of expertise in. Faz, you're on our helpline supporting individuals with legal support, and I know that a lot of that comes from a financial concern, background for callers. So I'm really thrilled that we can draw upon yours two's expertise. Okay. Well, first I'm going to ask you guys, what does financial well-being mean to you? And I'll go with yourself first, C.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, first of all.
No problem.
For financial well-being, I think it's just having control of your finances, as in this time as well. I think you're able to control your finances, making sure that your bills are going to be paid for now and the future.
Yeah.
And just having a little fun as well. Like you said, you want to enjoy life. You don't want your whole life just being around paying bills or, just being financially stable going forward. And like I said, go on holidays here and there. And just making sure everything's being paid for and stuff like that. So I think that's what financial well-being is for me.
Like finding that balance.
Yes, finding that balance from actually having, paying your bills and actually, having a bit of fun, because you can't, like I said, always just do work, come back, pay your bills and just do like that's a vicious cycle. Yeah. You do need to go on holidays, take a little break. And, that's why I think financial well-being is for myself, is just being financially stable and having all that on the side as well.
Well, thank you. And Faz, what does financial well-being mean to you?
It's just, again, just feeling happy with where your money is at. So, like Z said, obviously being able to pay your bills, manage that, maybe even being able to save so you have that sense of security as well. And I think for me, I don't want to be just paying my bills. I don't want to live to work. I want to work to live and have a life outside of paying my bills. Yeah. So that's really important to me, to have something left to be able to, like Z said, do things with my money and go on out and about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. I think, when this episode airs, I think we're going to be in the lead up to the festive season. We're not too far off that now, and we're just kind of in the aftermath now of everything with the energy crisis, everything going up for everyone in general. And I think a lot of people are going to default to thinking, oh my God, this is a crisis. This is panic stations. All of our money needs to be kind of channeled into making sure that the bills are paid on time. And then you're right, forgetting that there is still an importance to finding some time for yourself. Even if you're spending a couple of quid here and there, it doesn't have to be thousands of pounds, but finding things that are lower cost or maybe cost free as well, to remember to make that time for yourself to enjoy life. It's really important. And I guess in yours too line of work, you see things from different angles. Faz, you're seeing it from the service users, you're seeing it from the callers calling into the helpline day in, day out for various legal issues or support. But do you think that requests for financial support are increasing?
Yeah, it has done quite a lot. Obviously, with the energy price rises, for example, that's impacting everybody. We're having a lot of people ringing about rental increases as well, because, again, the rent market's gone up. So for people, the energy's bad enough, so to have to deal with the rental increases on top of that, it's obviously having that impact of, what do I do with my money now? Yeah. So I think it has got people in a bit of a panic, because it's not just one thing to deal with, there's several things. And it's just seeping into, obviously, that stability of, okay, I know where my money used to go all this time, but now I have to make more space, probably save less, and use more of my money to live now. I think it's definitely been an increase on these types of callers from people. just people struggling, feeling low about it as well, and just wanting that guidance of where do we go from here? How can we get some support to help us?
Well, kind of touching on that then, obviously we know the energy crisis is absolutely, flooring millions of people. I'm sure you too, I certainly have seen an increase in what I'm going to be paying, but I guess energy bills aside, you made a good point about rental. I think that's something that a lot of people don't realise is being impacted. What kind of practical steps can someone take if their landlord has told them that there's going to be an increase? Should there be like a wait time? Is there a notice period that landlords should be giving?
Yeah, they do get a notice period, so that's where we come in with the legal side, where we advise them on what their rights are. So it's not a case that the landlord, states, okay, we're going to increase it. It's a case of giving them that notice, to give them an opportunity to negotiate with the landlord, to find alternative housing potentially, in the situation if that becomes too expensive for them. So it's just having that time period to have a think about your options as well, and potentially even contacting, councils, for example, to see whether they can get any housing support now as a result of the rental increase. So just weighing up their options really before they decide whether do we stay here or not, or do we find something else. But yeah, that's been a really big topic for us.
And I imagine people will get that email or that letter from their landlord and panic and go, what are my rights here? What do I do? So what usually is a time scale of like how much notice a landlord should give?
It's usually about a month. And where people don't know, is that too expensive for me or not? That's when we would advise them to do a bit of research themselves, look into the market, look into what the prices are for that type of property in that area. So we normally advise them to contact estate agents as well, local ones, and ask them, okay, do you think that's a reasonable increase? So in that case, obviously that's where they can do that research. But the hard part is the landlord can increase it. You can't really stop them in line with the current retail index price. So that's where obviously it's a bit difficult.
What's the retail index price?
That's just the current price rises.
Oh, right, okay.
On,
You're going to talk to me like I'm an idiot, because I haven't got a clue with stuff like this. You two are probably like, gosh, she doesn't know what that is, but I actually literally do not have a clue. In terms of rental prices increasing, has that been, I mean, I'm not a homeowner yet, but I'm assuming that is linked to the overall rise in interest. Is that right? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
So as a result, mortgage prices are going up, so the landlord needs to fill that deficit somehow. So it is a knock-on effect. Okay. And in most cases, you'd like to think it's not a landlord being challenging for the sake of it. It is because they need to match how their costs are going up. Exactly. And I think that's something that everyone needs to be mindful of. I think with everything being so unstable, probably for the foreseeable, people need to be prepared to expect certain increases, I imagine. How long do you think this might, I mean, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but how long do you think something like this could carry on? Could it carry on rising for 12 months, 18, 2 years? It
does really depend on how, like I said, the government end up tackling the situation. I just think in general, because at the moment, like I said, it's up in the air. There's always, I'm sure you've seen the news, there has been, this is the money budget, they've changed it. And it's been because I think once they get a firm plan in place, then I think that's when you can see more, say towards the end of April, when they start putting in the new budget, that's when you can see a bit more how it'll go. I think at the moment it will probably still increase. I would advise, like, if anyone do go for rental, agreements or anything like that, to try to get it fixed for a few years, or at least, for a certain amount of time of period. I think that would be the best advice at the moment, is try to fix that thing, it costs as much as you can, because we don't know how long it's going to last. Everything that's going on around the world is affecting us as well. So all those kind of stuff is affecting. It just depends on how all those start calming down. And once all those can happen, like I said, like a knock-on effect. Like I said, there's stuff going on down in Ukraine. If that carries on, it will affect us. That will increase inflation. So it just depends on how it comes out, it works out in the next couple of months. And when it comes to April time, the budget, that's when you probably find out a bit more how it would be. I think it'll definitely go on for at least the next 6-7 months, I think, where it could be like this. It would be very high and low. There might be some months, you'll think, oh, you're doing okay, but next thing you know, something else might pop out of the blue, and it will be, high inflation or just unexpected costs that you won't expect come out from the blue.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's all well and good us holding out for the next budget and how the next financial year is going to look, but we've still got half of this financial year to get through. So what kind of So essentially people need to be taking action now if they haven't taken action, even if it's small steps, I imagine, to make each month's or each week's, salary or income, wherever that is coming from, make it stretch, make it last. If people haven't already, would you recommend like starting budget planners? And even if, I've just created a spreadsheet out of just literally writing down, and it was quite overwhelming for me to see, like, oh God, I've got all these little payments coming out, and this $9.99 here and this $7.99 here that comes out from they add up, don't they?
You don't realise.
But it has helped me have a bit more clarity over what I'm spending, because you don't know when things are going out your bank account, and you'll just check it every now and then, go, oh, this is how much I've got left. But do you think if you haven't already, starting budgeting, doing some kind of tracker or spreadsheet or something is a good place to start to get through the next few months?
Yeah, I would I would think so. I think budgeting would be the best way forward. It allows to help control the cost, and at least you're coming. Me personally, I use an app called Emma. So it links to my bank account. So it picks up everything, all my income that's going out, all my outgoings, and it categorizes them into, for example, you've got Netflix or Spotify. That's your kind of entertainment side. Goes through that, and then you can, within the app, you can actually put how much you want to actually save. So if you want to say, for example, at the end of the month, you want to save up 500 quid, you just put that, and you get a notification once you're either over it or near it. So I think stuff like that will kind of help, and that's the best way forward, to try and put some sort of budget, get all the expenditure, put it into, like, say, a spreadsheet or something, and then at least you know what's going out, and then you can prepare for, see what you have left, and then you can see where you can kind of put that money. Yeah, like, for example, if you're spending, let's say £200 a week on going nights out or something like that, or just on yourself, then maybe like, okay, then do I need to go out every night or something like that, or those kind of things. Because sometimes, like I said, when you go out, you don't realise how much you're spending because you're just paying on the card. You get a drink, you get stuff like that, it adds up. You're not sure how much it adds up to. You'll just wait for the end of the month. You're like, oops, I spent a bit too much. But yeah, just having that kind of self-control, like, okay, I'm going out, I'm going to spend £100 a month just on, let's say, personal stuff, like, say, going out, and then you stop at that, and then you're like, okay, I can't go out, I'll wait next month to kind of go out.
That discipline is really important, isn't it? To not, I think that there's millions of people out there that always rely on things like backups because they don't have that discipline necessarily, or that control in place. People feel like they've got a lot of time to make up from, we've just come out of, I say we haven't just come out, but we're still kind of making up for lost time from lockdown. So people don't want to say no to things like, yeah, I'll come out with you, we'll go for a meal, we'll do this, and people are committing themselves to loads of things. So then putting some more discipline back in place to not spend above their allotted budgets will take quite a lot of strength from individuals, especially if they don't want to miss out on things. You touched on like apps as well that will help kind of pick up on expenditure, and I think that's really good, especially for individuals who put off looking at their bank account. I'm one of them, and it was like, sickening going through, like, oh my God, do I really need Disney, Netflix? Do I need all of these things? And trying to make some, conscious decisions to maybe cut some of those subscriptions and things. But it was, seeing how much I spend at the shop, on a daily basis, because I might not do a big shop on the weekend. Those types of things. You end up spending £5 here, £20 here, and actually you could be just planning ahead a little bit more. So I think those types of techniques, just going back to the like apps and things that will pull all that expenditure for you, might help people that are a little bit nervous looking and rinsing through their bank account. Oh, I've got to pay for this. But I think you just need that reality check almost. You need to look at what your finances are, what you're actually spending on. Do I actually use the gym to warrant this £50 a month payment?
I actually cancelled mine.
Did you? And realistically, like, had you been using it to the full extent?
Yeah.
And it always happens, doesn't it? I mean, I pay for a couple of different streaming things, and I'm like, I don't think I've watched anything on that in like 6 weeks or something, so why am I still paying for it now?
Even looking at your phone contract, if you have a SIM only deal, can you get it cheaper somewhere else? Like my husband's telling me to have a look because he changed his over the weekend. I'm just like, I can't be bothered changing it over, but maybe that £2-3 makes a difference every year. So just reviewing basically, all your subscriptions, I suppose, even your TV subscriptions, broadband deals. I think even if people don't feel comfortable having an app, They can look at websites like Money Helper that has budgeting ideas on there as well. Just to make it manageable.
So when you get people calling up to the legal team, Faz, so when people haven't got a clue where to start, what's kind of your first, like your plan of attack with them? Like, come on, right, if I was calling you and I'm like, oh, Faz, I've got all this, I'm in a deficit every single month, I'm relying on my overdraft or relying on credit cards to make up the payments, so I don't know where to start. What would be, your simple plan of attack to get started?
The first organisation that we would refer them to would usually be Money Helper, just because they have budgeting ideas on there. They do have help on there as well on how to manage your money. And then we would also look to see whether they could be potentially eligible for any type of benefits, any sort of government funding as well. So that's obviously based on your means as well, your financial situation, and it's just to kind of find out what's available to you. Are you missing out on anything? But budgeting is one of the first things that we would do. And because we have a lot of people calling about debt as well, we also refer them to Step Change, because they have debt management plans. They can also help with budgeting as well. Just to take that first step, really, just to look at your finances, but maybe with that extra person over the phone helping you, to make it seem less daunting, I suppose, for those people.
And that's what it is. I was listening to something or reading something, I can't remember what it was, from Step Change a few weeks ago, and they said that usually by the time someone's called up to get help, they've been struggling for at least 12 months. And then it's almost, you're plucking up that courage, you're going to speak to someone, you might be the first person that they've spoken to, about it. They might not be talking to their partner, their loved one, their family, friends about it. You might be the first person, and they need to kind of prepare themselves then, because things can move fast, and I think the key is to kind of be ready, be prepared to go on that journey. It could be quite quick, signing up to debt management plans, looking at what benefits are available. It's an act fast type thing. Be ready for it to go like a million miles an hour, but things will get sorted. And there's tons of people out there and tons of resources that can help you along that journey, but it can take people months to actually psych themselves up to have that conversation.
I think some people even feel embarrassed because they think, okay, if I tell somebody about my financial situation, they're going to think, okay, how did that person get themselves in that situation? So I think it's just reassurance that you're not the only one in that position. And that's where obviously when they make that contact, making them feel as if, yes, there is support out there, just phone call away for most people.
When you mentioned before, things like benefits and government support, and financial support, aid that's out there, do you find that there's a lot of people don't make the most of those additional resources? They didn't even realise that they're available.
They're surprised, that they might be eligible for certain things. So we normally refer them to an organisation called Turn to Us when they call about benefits. They genuinely don't know what they could be eligible for, so they can do an assessment with them and tell them what they could be eligible for based on their circumstances, based on their earnings, family circumstances as well. So you're right, a lot of people don't know there's help out there that they could have been claiming potentially for months, but I think a lot of people feel relieved when they realise that it might be an option for them.
Absolutely. So the sooner they talk about it, the sooner they're going to be able to potentially find these extra resources and funds, grants, support. Turn to Us as well. Can students use that as well?
It's open to everybody. So they just need to make that call. There's a lot of information on their website as well. Just if they don't feel ready to make that call yet, and then it's just a case of doing an assessment with them over the phone, really, to determine what the circumstances are. So it's open to the whole of the UK.
Wow, okay, so that's good. What about then, so if we kind of flip the script a little bit, we talked a lot about kind of top tips on budgeting and what you can start to do if you are unsure. If we're flipping it on the other side, so if there's employers listening to this, what kind of things could employers start to do or potentially put in place to support their employees? Have you got any kind of ideas or suggestions?
There's a few things, various things that employees could potentially do. For example, like say, within our company, we have like something called Perk Box. Obviously, that gives discounts. Stuff like that would help them. It might be 5%, 10% off, groceries and stuff like that. But it does go a long way. There's various other like I said, discounted app, apps you can get by employers that they can get, and that just helps. I think that just help them because, like I said, little discounts, even if it's like 5-10%, it goes a long way. And I said these kind of little things is what employees might be thinking about. Okay, let's start, get into a partnership with someone that could provide those services to help our employees. And other things, like I said, EPA systems as well. Like I said, there are companies out there at the moment that still don't have, proper EPA systems in place. And I think just helps, like I said, phoning Faz and stuff like that. It just helps having that conversation with someone, because sometimes personally you don't want to go to a family member sometimes because you do feel like you said they may or may not judge, you're not sure, you're not 100%. Just having the opportunity where it's going to be, private, confidential, someone just have a little chat, do it themselves. I think that helps, and those are the things that I think, there could be a lot of things that, like employees that could do in that sense to help them. And also there's like salary sacrifice where they offer, bike to work schemes and stuff like that that might help. Travel season discounts as well. That helps in two ways. Like I said, you can pay with the annual season, it takes it off bit of your salary, but it helps with the tax as well because it reduces your tax, it reduces your NI as well because it is a taxable income. So those kind of things I think employers can put in place that should hopefully help. And like I said, even if it's like 100 quid, 50 quid here and there, it could help. It goes a long way. It goes a long way. Think about, £20 a month, that, adds up nearly to about 200 quid a year.
This is exactly it. I use ours for supermarket. I don't Tesco. So I think it's like 4% off or something, but you buy like £100 voucher and get £4 off it, but that £4 is adding up. And I went and bought this jumper the other day from a clothes shop in town and bought it with a voucher that I got a discount on, through Perkbox, and it, whilst I saved, I think it was like £3 or something like that, that £3, like you say, they add up, and that £3 could be treating yourself to a nice coffee or something, something like that. Those nice little things that you do to reward yourself, to look forward to as well. So I use it all the time. Those types of discount kind of providers as well, with the festive season coming up, you've got potentially toys, electrical items that you want to get, clothes again. So utilising those, I think they're really underutilised. And I rave about all the pounds that tot up over time with that. So I think that is a really good one to consider. Salary sacrifice schemes, absolutely. I don't know if it's still a thing or not, but do you know if you work for someone where you've got, you wear a uniform and you can claim stuff back, is that still a thing?
I think within the NHS I think it is, but I don't think it is elsewhere. But within NHS I think it is, where like I said, they wash the uniforms or you pay for it, and they pay for it and then you just take it out of your salary kind of thing. So I know it's predominant in the NHS, but I'm not sure if it's I don't think a lot of companies do have it.
I think it's worth finding out, and like things like eye tests and rebates for like glasses and stuff like that. I think probably there's lots of employers out there that have had that in place, for years and years, but it wasn't, so people didn't think about it. They didn't think, what's a £20 rebate going to do? But actually that £20 or whatever it is, it will add up. So it's worth, finding out what benefits your company has got, like if you're not too sure.
Car parking discounts. That's a big thing for me. That makes a difference, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
especially city centre.
Exactly, there you go. Yeah. It's not cheap.
So like claiming back or using rebates and finding out what your employer has got as an employer yourself. If it's you're one of the business leaders, make a conscious effort to showcase all of those benefits and schemes that you probably had in place, and they're just on a leaflet somewhere that you give to someone on their first day. Like re-advertise all of those things again. I mean, it was a long time ago since I was at university, but, you get discounts left, right and centre as a student, don't you?
Yeah. Good times.
Good times.
I remember those days.
just being able to use a student discount on
this
shops.
This is it. But you might have, even if you're not a student, you might have family members that are students, so you could utilise the discounts there.
Definitely.
Very, very fortunate. I've got a cousin who's in their second year of university, so I could be like, can I just...
I'm doing that at the moment.
Yeah, I've got my little sister for that. My little sister, she gets student discount. She's at Man University, so every time. Or do they do student discount on, some ASOS or anything like that? They usually do, like I said, it might be 10-15%, but it does go a lot.
Absolutely.
Like when term starts, they do big discounts
deals,
in all these shops, so 25%, 20%. That's when I'm ready for it.
Yeah. And I mean, if the students listening to this as well, again, find out what benefits you've got, like any additional, I think as well, going for, from the university perspective, if you're still studying, find out like usually there's student wellbeing or welfare services at the university. There might be additional grants or bursaries. There might be other deals in your city or your town where you live in that you could make the most out of. Something that, I'm kind of going off track a little bit, but something that I do now is look at, we all have our favourite places that we go out to eat or drink or whatever. So I look now for, like lunchtime deals and where's got like offers on at the moment. So again, I've still oh, my Apple Watch is going off. Apologies for that. Or we've got, so finding play, because it's nice to have these fun things to look forward to. Going back to the first thing that you said, see, both of you, about finding that balance. So it's just being a bit smarter and savvier. Now, I'm quite fortunate that my partner, he's incredibly frugal and he's always like, check your discount app, see if we can get discount there. And then we discovered I could get 2 cinema tickets for £7. And I was like, oh my God, because the cinema feels like you need to take out a loan to take the family to the pictures.
It's like Perkbox have those Odeon deals.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're really handy, aren't they?
So you can still have a fun days out for what just feels like spare change, like loose change, like £7 to have a 2-3 hours out together. It's and you don't have to buy all the slushies and popcorn and stuff like that. Cook yourself a meal before you go. So
snacks now.
Finding those better deals, being a bit savvier, and you actually find that you might discover new places to eat or new places to go for a coffee, supporting local businesses and so on as well. So you can still have things to look forward to without detrimentally impacting your budget planner and stuff like that. In terms of kind of the impact, I mean, we could talk a lot about all the different kind of budgeting pieces, all the practical tips and things like that. But if people don't start to address and look at what their expenditure is and start to make some small changes, how do you think this will then evolve in terms of, I mean, I know that you guys aren't on the mental health team at Health Assured, but you're human beings yourself, you've got loved ones, you probably have your own personal challenges or have had. How do you think, if this isn't addressed by more people soon and they don't start to kind of face their demons or face their fear of looking at what their budgeting is, and we can't wait until April, people need to take steps now. How will this, do you think, manifest itself?
I think it would cause a lot of stress. I think it would cause a lot of worry. Probably even affect your sleeping, because everything's going round and round in your head. You're trying to find solutions in your head of how to help yourself. I think just day to day, your mood, it would obviously have an impact on that, the way you are with other people, even your own family members. Most of the time you end up taking it out on them and you don't realise. But I think it would just, even like with work, if you come into work thinking about these things in your head, just your productivity will go down, because you're not really concentrating on work. You're still trying to think about what can I do to help myself. So I think it would have a domino effect on you. And that's where you need to find that help before it gets to the point where it seeps into your work life, your personal life as well. So I think the timing of it is really, really important, of not allowing it to ruin everything else basically in your life. So pretty much. So yeah, I think it's just dealing with it as soon as possible.
It's quite simple in that respect, isn't it? I know that it's not simple. I don't want to downplay it or underplay it for anyone, the challenges or struggles they're facing with their finances and the impact, the ripple impact that this is having into their day-to-day lives. But it's so important that people take steps now. And again, that was so talking about when I looked at mine, it was like quite sickening, like I've mentioned, it like made me feel like nauseous looking at the things that I spend money on, but actually putting pen to paper or like on a spreadsheet or whatever, looking at things and made some positive changes and becoming more accountable, acting sooner rather than later. It's like ripping off a plaster, speaking to someone soon, there's, you know, I think we're always in the mindset like, I'll look at that one then next month. After I get paid next month, I'll look at it then. Or after this, and I'll look at that. Or when this contract is up, then I'll look at it. But I think it's important to just rip the Band-Aid off, isn't it? And start addressing things sooner rather than later. I think just thinking seasonal, we are in the lead up to the festive season. People will probably say, we'll look at it after Christmas, and that's always the way. Let's get Christmas out the way, or the festive season out the way. Let's just get that out the way, and then we'll look at it in January. But do you think it's important that people don't put it off till then?
Yeah, I do. I think, like I said, because if you do leave it to Christmas, you're there 3 months spending whatever you're spending. Like I said, you do need to get the gifts, for your family members, which is fine. But you've got to be careful, because like I say, if you come to January time, you spent so much in December, November, and October leading up to Christmas. It might have such a bag of effects. Like say in January, as soon as you look in January, you might be, like you said, in a deficit straight away already without knowing. So like I said, that's why you got to probably plan, see how much you're going to spend. And like I said, depending on how many family members you have, you see like, okay, kids, I'll spend £10 on them, £15 on them. Okay, maybe they want a big gift. Okay, then just go through there and just put a budget in for each person in your family members and be like, okay, I'm spending X amount. And then also if the family members are a bit disappointed, we'd be like, this is the only I could have spent within my means. I think that's the best way to go by. Just look at how many family members you have, how much you can actually spend on them with going over the top. Like I said, you do want to buy big gifts, during the Christmas time. Everyone does. But, you got to live within your means. And I think that's the most important thing when it comes to it.
People aren't on their own either, are they? So like, if you have quite an open conversation with family members, they'll be like, oh, I'm so glad you said something, because I'm worried about what we're spending on you guys. So, I've got quite a few siblings, and when you start totting up all their presents, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to spend hundreds on them. So we decided in the summer, said, let's do like a secret Santa. We'll get one present, we'll spend one allotted amount on one person. And we were all like, oh, thank God that we had this conversation, because we were starting to see all the pound coins like getting bigger. It was almost daunting. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to either get them rubbish presents, and you end up like spending less on people. But just having a bit of an open conversation with family members, with friends, and say, look, can we do something different this year? How about, if you've got family members with kids, and you normally get, so say you've got cousins, brothers, sisters, and they've all got kids as well, why don't you just make a decision to maybe spend money on the kids instead of the adults? We're adults, we can treat ourselves to something nice once in a while, but the kids, if you don't want to see people go without, maybe just have open conversations, say, look, we're not going to do the adults this year, we're going to do kids. And it's the same with maybe like birthdays and stuff. Sometimes time is a better gift than a material option. Spending your time with loved ones, and what's a £20-30 present when actually you've got valuable, precious time with one another.
Having a day out with them rather than making those
absolutely.
memories. I think even that for a lot of people is enough than
Yeah.
having an item given to them, which, like you said,
Absolutely.
can be costly.
I think now as well, children, a lot younger children won't necessarily know any different. Maybe it's kind of our generation that feel more badly about it, because we've potentially been used to, quite indulgent festive seasons, birthdays, Christmas holidays and things like that. So we're feeling bad because of what we're used to, when actually the little ones don't know any different. But I think that what's really important is that, people have always kind of struggled in silence typically, and they'll try and make ends meet or borrow money, use credit to pay for things to keep face, keep up appearances at these like social and family events. But actually, if you start talking to your loved ones, your family, and say, look, we're going to start limiting the presents that we give, or we'll just put within our means, put a cash limit on things, you'll find that they might actually be like, oh, so glad that you said that, because we were thinking the same thing.
It's just
so
that
we're all
one
in it
person
together.
needs to make that move to speak.
Don't be afraid to be that person either that suggests something like that, because it might be that you then spark a bit of a conversation and you get more positive and helpful suggestions. So I think it's really important that people start talking about it now. Don't leave it till after the festive season. Don't save everything till the next kind of milestone. January, new year, new me, we'll sort out my finances then. Start doing things now. Do you think that's probably a good way to go.
Yeah, so when you do get your pay in December or November to spend for your presents, if you already have a saving there already, then you're not putting yourself in that difficult position of not having anything left for January. So I think that's where savings can come in. So people can save for December rather than, you know, saving afterwards just to kind of make up for the lack of money you don't have, I suppose, for the rest of the year. So you starting the year, I suppose, on a negative note isn't what anybody wants to put themselves.
Yeah, because I agree. Because like I say, if you start up and you look at your bank account, you're like, oh my god, I'm in my overdraft, stuff like that. That just has an effect on you straight away, because just that puts your mood down. Like I said, then you're less engaging in things that you want to be in. Yeah, and you start with that mentality, and then, like I said, you're going to carry on with it because you're like, oh, I've just got to puck up and go with it. And I think that's a mentality sometimes people do have. They're like, oh, I've just got to puck you up and just go and get going with it. But like I said, if you have it beforehand planned, then at least, you might be a bit prepped for it. So that's the only main thing. Like I said, don't start, like she said, on the new year on a low. Because I said that's the mentality you'll be going forward with, and that's going to carry on with. And then it's going to affect your day-to-day life, isn't it, if you carry on in that sense.
Brill. Any other kind of, because like being in the professions and the fields that you guys are in, have you kind of spotted any other top tips that you think would be really useful for anyone that's listening now, whether that's budgeting, whether that's, I don't know, kind of where to start in this minefield of finance? Because we could be sat here and we could talk about this for about 6 hours and still not cover everything to do with kind of financial well-being. But if you've got any key top tips, maybe something that at least one thing that someone could take away from this episode, from this podcast, what would it be?
I think
put you on the spot first, Faz.
Yeah, great, thank you. I think for me, it's just always not thinking, okay, I got the best deal on something at that point, but realizing that was at that point and not leaving it. Maybe always look around, shop around, even though, I try not to, maybe like Z said before, get fixed term or longer term contracts on things. Keep it shorter so that you can always shop around and you have the option of seeing if there's better deals out there. So I think some people think, okay, I've got a great deal now, that's it, that's me done for 2 years. But maybe just every few months checking to see what's changed out there, and that way you are a bit more savvy then, and trying to find ways to save money throughout the year rather than every 2 or 3 years. I think that's what I would do. Like my husband, he's always comparing and contrasting things, and I'm just like, I don't have the time for this.
Well, this is I'm very, very fortunate, just to interrupt you there. My partner literally texts me every time he sees a savings account that's like a slightly higher APR, and I'm like, well, I don't have like thousands of pounds in a savings account. And he's like, it doesn't matter, move your money because you're going to get an extra few pence, over this 6 months or whatever. So he's always sending me links like, here's another account, or here's some, we can switch our deal on energy. So I'm glad that he's got his finger on the pulse. I need to be a little bit more like that and be very aware, because I just do that. I'm like, right, I'm done now for 24 months, that's my phone contract done, but actually there's always something you can do, so you can come out of
knowing that deal isn't the best deal right now, it will have been at that time. So just keeping that in mind. I think using comparison websites, I think, are really good. Compare the market. Just looking around, I think, all the time when you have the time to. I know it's easier said than done for people, but just when you get a chance, that's what I would say.
That's good advice, Faz.
I would agree with that. Let's have a look around all the time. Like, even if it's coming close to car insurance and stuff like that, it's coming up, have a look around, because that's the main thing. I think, like, for example, this month, I think I looked around and saved about 200 quid over the year on my insurance. But that's just looking around. Like I said, learned that from my brother. He's very free. He'll look on every website. He'll go on vouchers, vouchers code, I think it's voucherscode.co.uk, all those kind of things. And for little deals, look for cashback deals as well on other websites. Always going direct, I don't think, is always the best, because I think people usually go direct. Oh, I'm with, for example, I'm with Voda, I'm going to stick with them, or let's just go on their website and see their deals. But sometimes there might be other deals on other websites that might be better, offering the same thing, but they can offer a bit more cheaper, because, like I said, it's just coming through as third party. I think those are the things that we'd be to have a best look at. And like I said, if you can fix more, like I said, when it comes to rent or mortgage, you can fix it a bit more, then that would be, in that sense, at least you know what's going on in that sense. So just looking around and things like that would be the best thing to do, I think.
Very quickly on that, with energy bills, would you say the same thing now, or are people going to get a very similar thing across the board with energy at the moment?
It was a similar one, because of myself, I think we're with British Gas at the moment, and we got a bill out, he's going to go through the roof. So then I thought, okay, let's have a look around. We had a conversation with them, like, oh, we can only put it down a little bit. So then I went and looked for it, and they go, no one's offering any better energy deals. So I think at the moment, because of energy and the way it is at the moment, it's probably going to be the best to stick for now. And then hopefully there are little things that are coming through. I think with British Gas, I think they're give you like a 400 quid over a 6 months period if you pay by direct debit. So those little things, maybe look at those kind of deals where you can get that from, and speak to your providers, and make sure that, see if they're offering it. If not, can they offer it? See what can they offer. I think the best thing is phone up your energy companies right now and speak to them. Don't go through, I know there's live chats and stuff like that, but I think it's best to talk to someone over the phone and see what you can do. Because sometimes haggling might work if you've been there for 2-3 years. You know, they might offer a little something you never know. You know, it's no harm in trying. You get something or you don't. I think the best thing would be advise that. But I think energy deals will at the moment probably just be the same everywhere, because I said the cap's only for a little while. Then maybe when the cap is coming off, that's when you might be able to look around, because then maybe energy deals will be a bit more compatible. Like, oh, maybe offer a cheaper deal to get you on to them. But for now, because there's a cap, everyone's going to, most likely, each energy company is going to most likely put it to the top of the cap. They're going to want to make their money now, aren't they? So,
I think,
so at the moment,
they probably wouldn't want to lose customers as well at the moment. So I think a bit of negotiation would probably help.
And that's the best thing to do.
And if you don't know how to negotiate, there are people that can help, aren't there? So like, I think, you know, you guys have probably helped people, you know, on the legal team. You've helped people with negotiations, where to start, if you don't know, like, the questions to ask and stuff like that.
That's then, literally what we get most of our calls, and that's with everything. That's just not even with finances, it's legal, you know, housing, neighbourhood disputes, even the smallest things, even negotiating with your employer if they have questions about that. So it is, you're right, that's what people ring us for. But what do I say, how do I say it, you know, can I say that, is it legal? That's literally the day-to-day job, but I enjoy it.
So there you go. If you are listening to this and you've got health assured as an EAP or an SAP or an IAP, call up, ask for Faz, she'll help you master negotiator there.
Oh no, that's a lot of pressure on me.
But I think it's really important that they know that these services are there.
I mean, the app is there as well. There's wellbeing tools on there. So if people don't want to ring first, they want to just see what we're about, they can always look on the app first and foremost. And then I think that might give them a bit more confidence to say, okay, I could, you know, I want a bit more information. But
Good.
Sorry, we were saying in terms of savings as well, saying if certain people have a certain amount of savings, you might want to split them up as well, because like I said, that might be an option. Because sometimes people just think, oh, I've got, for example, let's just say, oh, I've got £2,000 saved up, I need to put it in one account. But you can split that out, because sometimes, like I said, depending on what I said the rate is at the moment, you might, if you put 2,000 in one account, you might get a higher rate and then split another 2,000 to another account. So just don't think you have to dump your money in one account. You can split it up and you might get better rates. It depends how much it is. You might get a slightly better rate. So it's always best to look around and see if you split your savings up, if that's better. Or like to split your monies up in current accounts. I said sometimes they offer 250 quid, you know, to sign up and things like that. So those little things that you can split it up and just, you know, can have different bank accounts, you know, nothing needs to go out, and you can open it, put a little money in there. So those little things, you know, could help on the side. I think that's one of the few things as well that
that's really good.
That's quite handy. I've been doing that too.
10 more current accounts and get loads
so,
more.
But it is one of those options. If it's out there and people are offering you might as well take advantage as much as you can, because, you know, at the moment, like I said, anything can get, you might as well take.
Wise words there. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here, so thank you so much. Unless there's anything else that you think might be kind of worth mentioning, but I think there's a lot of food for thought for everyone here. Key takeaways for me are starting to, you know, for people to start looking at what their outgoings are, start to address what might be needed, what might not be needed, what, you know, what is necessary, what isn't. Look at the best deals, whether that's on things for bills, for, you know, whatever subscriptions you've got, but for nice things to look forward to do as well. And for always keep your finger on the pulse on what is out there. Spend a little bit of time researching, investigating. What's, you know, half an hour here and there, just having a little scour on your phone through the internet, see what other options there are that might be available. But I mean, they're my personal kind of key takeaways from this. So thank you both so much. And obviously for anyone that is listening, that is concerned, there's multiple kind of support resources and avenues and stuff. And obviously, if you've got Health Assured access, check out the app, go on our website and portal, and obviously we've got the teams there to support on the helpline should anyone have any queries. But thank you both. That's been a pleasure. Covered a lot of ground.
Yeah,
Thank you. Brilliant.